Hey everybody, it's your co-host Aaron again, and this is my reflection video on episode 37 in which Alexander and I discussed roles. And overall, I felt like it was a great episode, very, very extensive. Of course, it was pretty long. Alexander and I have been trying to keep our episodes to about 30 to 35 minutes of content, and they just get away from us every time we want the shorter we want to make them, or the more conscious we try to be about keeping it 30 to 35. It seems like the longer they get. So maybe it's one of those things, what we resist persists, and where we are resisting having a long episode. But it is what it is, and we hope you are enjoying all the content that we've been creating. I wanted to discuss a few examples that I've had or that I've seen regarding roles. Of course, I've had my fair share of roles in the past, and I've even discussed a few of those on various episodes that we've recorded and put out already. And unfortunately, they're not labeled that way, but as you're listening through all the episodes, you'll be able to see where I bring up certain situations where the situation is playing a role, where I'm playing a role for somebody. But I did want to bring up a few of those that I think most of these I've already discussed, but I did want to bring them up in a more condensed version here, so because it's on topic. So I did want to bring up the first one, which was, if you've listened to all the episodes, you've known that I've immersed myself into a few Facebook groups, and I've met a good group of people. And so how that went down was when I was still very heavy into conspiracy theories, which was about a year or so ago. I was in this Facebook group, and it seemed like it attracted a good amount of people, about 30 to 40 people, all within, maybe 10 years of age, all like having the same view of, or roughly the same view of the world, the same view of conspiracy theories. And self-development was even a part of that. And we all came together, and it was kind of like we were all looking for other people like us. And the internet and this group served the role for us. It played this role where we all came together. We immediately all clicked, and you know how when you're in that honeymoon phase, whether it's with a significant other or even with a group of people, friends, you just all click, and it's all love and positivity. And then eventually you start to see some of the ways where you differ, and it doesn't matter on whatever levels, but because there was so much passion and energy put in to the beginning, where you're like, oh my God, you're my family, you're my tribe. Because there was that large emotional reaction over an extended period of time, when you find these people, there is going to be, pretty much the opposite, or you're going to attract the opposite amount of energy on the downside. And we've talked about this and why it's important to stay more neutral with your emotions, because the higher you go, the harder you're going to fall. And that's just a law of energy and nature. So, and that was the case with this group. Through our differences, we had a falling out, and you know how emotional reactions and that type of thing can play out. But for me, that group played a huge role in my my path to where I am now, to no longer feeling like conspiracies run my life. I do like to talk about them from time to time, but they're not anywhere near the level of importance that they were at some point, on previous parts of my life. I did like to talk about them. I did like to utilize them to stimulate my mind, but with that came a lot of fear. And obviously when you have fear, you're lowering your vibration and you're leaking energy. So I've been able to set that aside and see where entertaining conspiracies has its downside. Of course, there are some high sides, because knowing some information that you think could be real allows you to then set your life up so that those things, if they do happen, won't impact you as much. So I've taken the good from conspiracies and left the bad, and I think that's, or I won't say good or bad. I'll say beneficial. I've taken the things that could benefit my life and left the fear in the dust. So that whole group helped me see conspiracies in a new light, but it also helped me try out some of these things out, these systems that Alexander and I are talking about on Wise, and I feel like it was a good sandbox for me to test these things out. And I had one issue where I had a disagreement with somebody, and I was able to take a step back and realize that the friendship was more important than this, squabble. I don't know if that's a word. More important than this overall. And I was able to set it aside and just say, hey, I accept responsibility, even though, I don't think I did anything wrong, before that, but I just accept responsibility because I feel like the universe is telling me that it's time to move on from this. And, but you are right. I did allow myself to be in this situation and play my role in it. So I do accept responsibility for it. And when you take responsibility for something, especially if you don't feel like it's your fault, or that person feels like you're gonna attack them when you go to talk with them in person, that totally changes the energy of the conversation and allows them to be like, whoa, who is this person? And the whole energy changes, and the energy, the negative energy of the situation just ceases to exist. So I would recommend everybody, the next time that you need to talk to somebody and they're blaming you for something and you don't think you did it, try taking responsibility for it. Because like Alexander said in this episode, that you are responsible for the way people treat you. So just do it and try to do it as authentically as possible. Because obviously if you're not authentic, people are going to call BS on you, and they're probably going to be able to smell it on you. So try to be as authentic, with it as possible. Believe it, because just try it out and see what happens. Another thing that I think maybe I spoke about in a previous episode was how I played a role for this person, and again, when I look back on it, because it went against my whole value system when I played this role. I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is. I did it, and it's a part of me, and it helped me grow. But there was this person out there who was involved in a relationship, and and this was years ago, I was talking with that person, and we both had an attraction for each other. And so I was essentially the third wheel in that, relationship, if you want to call it. And in that person's, because I went back and looked, in that person's destiny card report, they had the Three of Hearts, which I don't know if you guys know what that means. I think we've talked about in past podcasts, but when you have the Three of Hearts in a 52-day cycle, it means you're going to be involved in a love triangle. So it means you're dividing your heart into two, because you're the third party in that. So it's kind of like a pyramid. And so it was all written in her energy of the current situation, and I was pulled into that to play that part for her. And of course, it played a part for me, or I played that role, and of course I gained something from it as well. So it's not just like I was pulled in to play that role for her, and I didn't get anything out of it. Of course I did, but looking back on it now, knowing that I have a choice, just knowing this information, I feel like gives me invaluable information to allow me to step into my power a lot more. And if this situation ever came up again, I feel confident that I could understand the situation for what it is, look at that person's destiny card, energy of the current cycles and year, and see that it's just a cycle that she's playing out, and I don't want to get involved in that. And if, through the universe, if I'm supposed to play that part because I'm attracting it for some reason, so I can choose whether I want to play it out there. And if I do, I'll play it consciously just so I go through the motions of playing out that energy. But if I'm doing it consciously, I can limit it, and then probably it won't get as involved as I did this previous time. And but again, I have the choice to not do that. And if the universe feels like I need that lesson, then it will be attracted into some other way, some other person. Maybe it would be involved in, maybe I'll be the one with two people courting me. I don't know. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up because that it wasn't a very important part of my life, like 4 years ago, because after I realized that I was just playing a role for this person, but when I was in that role, I couldn't see things clearly. I felt so stupid after for not realizing the situation I put myself in and the situation I was in, and the role I was playing. So again, when I look back at the Destiny card energy, it all made sense. So I feel like that's why the reports are so important. And I don't want this to be me trying to sell you guys something, because I don't get anything for it. Alexander just charges because he charges a subscription for the service to create these reports and get this information. So he charges a fee to, for the labor and going and grabbing the report and sending it to you. But the Destiny card report is such an invaluable tool on this journey of self-development. And if you guys don't have your Destiny card report, I would urge you to get it. Alexander sells it for $25, but it goes from your birth year to your next birth year. So that is your year, and it breaks it down into 7 52-day cycles. So, I want more people, especially the people in our Facebook group, to get these reports, because I want more people seeing these. I want more people talking about these, and I want to engage with those people because I've learned so much, and I want to interact and help people see it, but also learn from other people's experiences. So again, I don't want to spend your money, but I do think that if you're trying to decide whether to get like a tarot card reading and pay for that, or getting a Destiny card report, I do think your money would be much well spent on a report. And I guess maybe for my own selfish reasons, I want you to get that. So with that said, I did also want to bring up some other examples that don't have to do with me. With one being, you hear this all the time. There's people who feel like they're always attracting the same type of significant other or potential significant other. They're always dating the same people, attracting those same people into their lives, and they don't know why. And I do think that it's a role that they're attracting in, whether it's a role that, I guess it is both, where they're attracting that person to play that role for them, and they're playing that role for that person with that same energy. And we're gonna keep getting these, this person keeps, or the people that keep having these issues, they're having these problems because they're never raising their vibration, raising their perspective out of changing. They're never changing and growing out of this perspective, and hence they keep attracting the same energy. So if they realize what they're doing, if they listen to the podcast and they can grow and realize that they're attracting, maybe somebody like their mother or father who they do have some, issues, trauma that they're dealing with, some childhood trauma. If they realize that and work on that, then maybe they'll be able to attract in somebody different, or maybe they need to step into their power more. So they get clear on what they're looking for, what they want out of a person, out of a life, out of a relationship. Because if they're not clear, then they're going to just attract or get what the universe wants to give them. So I do think that is a really good example for that situation, for those people who are having that problem. And I also wanted to bring up artwork, because not only do I think people can play roles or groups of people, but I think things can also play roles for people. And I do think artwork is something that can play a role for people, like film or even like paintings. Anything that creates an emotional reaction for you is playing a role for you. So, maybe there's a movie that you love, that you watch over and over again. Maybe think about what type of role that movie is playing for you. Is it reminding you of your past? Is it reminding you of maybe some friends that you no longer have, that you're no longer with or talk to? Just think about the energy that artwork plays a role in your life, and maybe if you're in our Facebook group, explain to us what you found while looking at that, because I do think that's a very important thing to look at. But overall, I think this was a very good episode. I guess that's all I have to reflect on, but I would love to hear any other reflections that you guys had. Again, if you're in our Facebook group, leave them there, or if you're watching us on YouTube, leave them down below in our comments. I'm so grateful that we keep growing every month. We are growing in views, very, very steadily, but consistently. And like we say in our intro, consistency or changes over a long period of time equals lasting results. So if we just keep consistently gaining people over an extended period of time, we will get lasting results. We will get a lasting group of people who are working on themselves, who want to be part of this community and are practicing self-development and being vulnerable. So I look forward to all the new people who are going to come to us in the future. So thank you guys. Spread the podcast, spread this mindset, this perspective of life, but do it in a way where you're not causing friction. So love you guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let's journey.